In a world filled with intergalactic space battles, metahuman destruction on a global scale, and psychopathic serial hauntings, there's only one team who can make sense of it all. When your world is overrun with rampant pop culture, call Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek.
100 times that's happened. 100 explosions. Can you even believe it? I can't. Can you?
Hey everybody, I'm Loop.
And I'm Larry.
And this is Guardians of Geek, our 100th episode. We
Yep.
finally made it after all the time. I thought, like 2 seasons ago, I thought we were going to make 100, but we didn't quite. And then last season, I thought for sure we're making it to 100. We didn't.
Yep. No.
Finally made it to 100. We still have probably episodes left of this season, so we're going to surpass 100 this year.
I like it. Literally 7 years ago when we started this thing, I did not anticipate like this going on 7 years and 100 episodes later. I just think it's awesome. I just think I am so proud of us for sticking with this thing for 7 years and 100 episodes. I just think it's just awesome.
I'm not sure how we're in season 8, but we've been around for 7 years. That math, I still haven't figured out yet, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Really doesn't matter. We're not math people. We're pop culture people.
Our first season maybe would have been like The Office, where it was like only 6 episodes, and then we picked up. Like I don't know how it all worked out in the math, but yeah, it's awesome to think back that we started this thing, and I didn't remember what started it. Like I don't remember why we. I think we just.
I do. You.
Oh, do you? Okay.
You literally just.
Oh, I did.
It was you. Yeah, it was all you. You literally one day. So you had a podcast before this that was about music. It was like about music and stuff. And then that finished.
Oh yeah.
And then you just out of the blue one day texted me and said, "Hey, you want to do a podcast?" And I said, like, what do you mean? Well, I've never done a podcast about what? And you were like, just geeky things. Like, this is what we do. We go to Comic-Cons. Why don't we do a pod? Because you had experience with podcasting, so you knew how to do it. And like, we have this in common. And you're like, why don't we do a podcast? I was like, all right. And that was literally it. It was just like, you want to do one? And I said, okay.
And then, like in true the two of us fashion, we go right into it with like all of a sudden you've edited like an opener, like a musical art, like because this time we didn't have the video portion. Was just like a true like podcast.
Yeah.
And so you edited this whole audio piece, and then we had all these other things, and then we were doing these like really crazy promos at the time. Like we still do crazy promos, but like. No other podcast is doing promos like this. Like
I don't think so. Well, and so back in the day, like 7 years ago, we worked together in the same building, and it's a TV station. So there was a room that had a full green wall, so we could do all of our promos over a green screen, and we'd like do them in person and get together and we recorded all of our original like first few years. Well, really only the first year, I guess, about a year and a half. In a radio studio, so in a professional setup with professional mics and in the whole studio and the whole thing. And then COVID hit, so we started in January of 2019 is when we started, and then COVID hit in March of 2020. So a year and 3 months later, we had to reconfigure the whole thing, and that's when we realized we could. First of all, we first did it like over the phone.
So I was in the studio and you were on the phone.
Yes.
And then we did that for a couple episodes. And then Zoom kind of came out like it was sort of a thing. And then we decided, let's do it over Zoom because then we could see each other and it's a little better. Yeah. And I remember I thought, like, why don't we take this, edit it, and make this into like a YouTube version of the podcast? And then that kind of became our thing. Like that was like it kind of almost merged. We still do obviously from behind the scenes, we take this, we edit it, I strip the audio, and that makes the podcast portion. Right. But really this has become kind of like the main portion now, as opposed to the other way around.
That's right. Yeah, way more people watch the YouTube version of it than listen to our audio version, which is fine. I mean,
Yeah.
that's great. However you want to get it, you've got options now. So, and it's an awful lot more fun to do it when we can see each other.
Yeah.
And we can change our backgrounds and we can do, it's a lot of
It's
fun. But
it's
that's
more produced.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
And-
that's sort of how it progressed. But because of COVID, we are where we are right now. Because if that
yeah.
hadn't happened, I'm sure we would still be doing it. Because you still work in a radio station. I'm sure we'd still be doing it in a
Yeah.
radio station, just do an audio podcast. So this has been way more fun.
So thank God for COVID.
Yes, what a great thing that was for us. I don't know.
We turned a negative into a
We
positive.
sure did. As we usually do.
You're the only person who's like, yeah, COVID's the best. All those years that we just lost in our lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but for us, fantastic.
Yeah.
Thumbs up to COVID.
So dumb.
Oh my God, I don't know.
Yeah, people were definitely clamoring to see our faces. They're like, we gotta see these guys. We want to see what they look like.
Yeah, that's really what it was all about.
So I remember the Greatest American Hero episode, which was episode, I did look it up because I was like, couldn't remember. I think it was 31 was the first episode that we started doing this, doing it on Zoom. So everything else before that. And then I went back and took the audio and actually made video versions of it and then put them all online as well. So it's
so literally all 100 episodes of our show are on YouTube. Just the first 30 are just audio with a graphic on screen. But so we've done way more of these things on YouTube and video than we had.
Like 70.
Yep.
If I do my math properly, that would be 70 out of it.
That's the level of math we can do.
Yes. No, but it's been great. Like we've done so much and we've interviewed some people and we've just it's fun to go and just sort of like it causes us or forces us to sort of like watch more things, be on top of more things on a regular basis. And it's a lot of fun. Like I just love being able to just have fun with stuff. And we've added a lot of cool things, like Top Pop was added. And what did we buy now, which is now my favorite segment. So
yeah, but it's also kind of fun. And it doesn't happen a lot, but occasionally when we're at Comic Cons and things, people will stop and say hi. Like they kind of recognize us because we tend to do Comic Cons together. So the two of us are together usually when we go to these things, and it's happened a few times that people have actually stopped and said, "Hey, we have one fan named Cora who always gets a picture with us whenever we meet up with her at a Comic Con," and that's pretty awesome. I gotta tell you. Thank you to Cora for that, because it's pretty fun to do that, because we're not huge, so when we get recognized on the rare occasion, it is pretty fun.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of fun things we've been able to do, and like we're both in the hilarious House of Frightenstein doc that's out right now, which is kind of cool, and like there's a lot of cool things that have happened. Like, but yeah, I just can't believe it's 100 episodes. Like it's really crazy that we've stuck with this, because a lot of podcasts start and then they just sort of drift off. And we're also on Rogers TV as well.
That's right. Yep.
Which is wild.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, it really, I mean, 7 years. And there's no end in sight. We're just gonna keep doing this. In one of our very first promos, I think it might have even been the first promo. I was taking clips from the episodes, like audio clips, and making them into the promo. And one of the clips that is in there is me saying, "We're going to be 80-year-old men talking about G.I. Joe when this thing goes on." So yeah, that's our plan. We're just going to keep going talking about G.I. Joe.
So today on the show, we're basically going to do 5 things each that influenced us when we were younger. Yeah, like 5 pop culture inspired things that we grabbed onto as a youth and kind of shaped us today, I guess.
That's right. Yeah, we thought after 100 episodes, why not like delve a little bit more into why we became the geeks that we are. I mean, we've talked about that over in bits and pieces over the 100 episodes, but we thought we'd devote this episode to just break down like what it was in our youth and growing up that actually made us as geeky as we are, because you're not just born this way.
No, it's a lot of
Stuff has to
influences.
influence you. Yeah. So we thought this would be a good opportunity to just talk about ourselves, which we don't really do a whole lot. I mean, I guess we do a lot actually, but
more than you probably think. But I know what you're saying. Like we just,
you know what I mean.
We just want to get a little more deeper into it. So we're going to do 5 things, which was really hard to get down to 5 things.
Yes.
That influenced us and it still influences us today, and shaped us to the people we are. I also, from the first episode, pulled 3 things that we said that we were into in the first episode that, like, I guess sort of influenced. I'll say that at the end and see how accurate what we say now is compared to the 3 things that we said back then. And these 3 things are just 3 things I think at the time were things that we were into that are like that we're fans of. So I'll say that at the end because I want to influence anything that's in these top 5 now, but I'll bring it up at the end and see how many of those sort of sneaked into these top 5 as well. So
excellent.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. So we're going to start with number 5, and we're going to end with our top influence, like the thing that's our main influence. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we'll start with
This is so hard to do.
Start with number 5. Make our way to number 1, the big reveal, the thing that's influenced us most.
Okay. Yes.
Do you want to kick this off?
I'll kick it off. And I'll kick this off because as we're recording this is WrestleMania weekend, 2-night weekend. It's on again tonight. This will be the second night. Wrestling is my number 5. Yep. And I don't think anybody is like surprised by this. I don't think I've mentioned it before. It's just one of those things that growing up, it was on all the time. So it was WWF, and you had the, WrestleMania with Mr. T, which I watched the A-Team. So that all brought together. There's a lot of connections in geekdom. Like there's a lot of things that this person or this thing is here, and then it connects to this, which connects to this. So, WrestleMania was just a spectacle at the time, and it was huge. And they were on Saturday Night Live. They were like, everything was like about WrestleMania at that time. And I just continued to watch it. And it's, of course, big characters, big storylines. Like just as a kid, going to live wrestling was like, wow, like, Junkyard Dog or, like whoever it was, like they're just bigger than life. And it was huge. The Killer Bees, like, look at these guys this is hilarious. They're switching and no one knows like all these, there's so many cool things about wrestling, and it's continued to fascinate me. And even at that time, like and this is like any sort of thing that we're into that's a geek thing. We dive deeper than the normal person would. So I didn't just watch WWE. I watched NWA. I watched anything that was like there's Canadian wrestling. I watched every wrestling there was because I couldn't get enough. I even had my own backyard wrestling league. Like I was like, that wasn't enough. Like I just had to go further like anybody else would. Especially if you're into something, like you go on a deep dive every time. So wrestling is my number 5, and it'll always be in my top 5 probably. So
100%. And I remember I was a massive wrestling fan up until sort of the end of I guess the early 90s, end of the 80s kind of thing. So like the early years of Junkyard Dog and Hulk Hogan and like all of those
Savage and
Hacksaw Jim Duggan and all the classic 80s wrestlers.
Yeah.
Huge. I like it. I had a group of friends and all of us were the same and we were all into it. And it was the greatest thing. I will never forget WrestleMania 1 was on, and it was like, I think it was like a pay-per-view or something. Like, I don't think it was broadcast on TV. Like, you couldn't just watch it.
You had to buy it, I believe, at that time.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't like, there was no way for me to be able to do that at the time. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just read about it in the newspaper the next day because this was when was it, WrestleMania 1? 84?
84, I believe.
Something like that. Yeah. So the newspaper was like still a thing. And I remember getting the newspaper the next day and being so excited to read about who won and who, wrestled. And there was no coverage, or I couldn't find any coverage. And I was so upset. I'm like, what? Like, this is the biggest thing that's ever happened in the history of sports. Why are they not covering WrestleMania 1 in the newspaper? I don't know. It was just, but I'll never forget being so disappointed that I couldn't read about it the next day.
Well, I remember going to like it was so big that like WrestleMania 2 and 3, I think even 4, like they started showing them in bars, but they at what they were at that time you could get tickets to see it in our local arena, which was London Gardens at the time. And
Right.
you were sitting in seats like you would at a concert, but you were just watching a big screen. And then they just
Right.
did the pay-per-view through there. And people were like there just watching it. It was so bizarre now when I think back to it. So yeah, it was a phenomenon. And it just yeah, everything about it just captured me. And I think a lot of it, and I think you'll see a theme here, a lot of it's character, like
Yeah.
just character and story. And I think that's why I loved it so much.
Totally. That absolutely makes sense. That totally tracks. 100%. All right. So I will start with my number five, and it's a pretty broad influencer here, but it took a lot of time to figure this out. And I realized that my number five influence in my life is Halloween, is October
Just
31st.
the month of Halloween.
Literally,
Yeah.
literally the celebration of Halloween. And because some of my earliest memories are of like dressing up and getting so excited, going in costume to school. And I remember that Halloween was so influential that I would like spend weeks and weeks in advance trying to come up with ideas for Halloween costumes. And as I got older, my Halloween costumes got more gory. um, and I got excited about the fact that I was old enough now. Like there was one year must have been maybe in grade 6 or 7, so I was like 13 or so, that I was a headless man. So I had like a costume that looked like my head had been chopped off. I had one of those
Nice.
foam heads that had blood dripping from it, and I was covered in blood. And I remember my mom actually helping me like create this super gory costume where I've been like a decapitated man. So Halloween is just always, and then it carried through. So I've like Halloween is still my absolute favorite holiday.
Oh yeah,
And
for sure.
all the way through. So there was a period when we were in college when uh every Halloween I would get together with one of my friends and his brother, and we would do up their house in like this like a massive graveyard and huge theming, and every year, and there would be planning that would lead up to it. Then all night long we'd be out scaring kids on the front lawn and stuff like that when I got too old to actually go out and trick or treat. And then when, of course, when I had my son, it started all over again, and I got to so yeah, Halloween was a huge deal for me. And it also, I think, originally led to my interest in horror movies.
Yeah.
uh, because during Halloween, even when you were a kid, you'd want to watch something a little bit scarier. So so I think that Halloween sort of, the whole idea of Halloween like really formed who I was as far as entertainment, and liking scary things and liking scary movies and that sort of thing. So right off the top, I have to say Halloween was a huge influence in my life. I actually have on my wall in my home Halloween decorations that stay up all year round because I really like Halloween.
Yeah, it's just it's my favorite month of the year, October,
Yeah.
and as you know, I do my like 31 days of Halloween where I watch 31 movies.
Yep.
I always dress up as something stupid. I always like I just love it.
Yep.
And I love horror, and a lot of that's from a lot of different things. And there was like something that was like horror related that didn't make the top five, but was on there, which was the John Carpenter's The Thing. And the reason
Oh,
why I mentioned that movie is because that was the first horror movie I really saw that like scared the crap out of me, but I
yep.
couldn't stop thinking about it. And it's something like when you don't like something, but you can't stop thinking about it, and then you kind of get more attracted to it. That's sort
Yep.
of what happened. And then I just from there got more into horror, and then watching it more and more and more and more. So I just it's such a great holiday. It's just like I live all year for October.
Yeah.
Like it's just I'm already thinking about today. Like even today, I was thinking about it was a movie I was going to watch. And I'm like, no, I want to save that for my 31 days. Like
Yeah.
it's so dumb. Just watch the
Yeah.
movie. But no, I gotta save this.
Yeah.
Like
It's true. Like Halloween is such a big part of our lives. It really is. And it has been since I can remember. Like I literally have vivid memories of when I was like 5 years old,
Yeah.
dressing up as a tiger. And so that has been such a big part of my life, and it always will be. So
Yeah.
that's number five right there.
That's a great one. That is so good. Okay, so my next one I'm gonna have to say
Okay.
is music videos.
Oh,
Is my
interesting.
next one.
Yeah.
So we were young. I don't know when music videos came out, like 82,
Yeah,
somewhere in
it's like
there.
80, 81, 82, so, or yeah,
So
something like that.
so MTV had come out in the States at this
Yep.
point, which we didn't get here in Canada. But we got Friday Night Videos,
Yes.
which played instead of Saturday Night Live. And
Yep.
actually, was it weekly? Was it
No,
week?
no, it wasn't. It was Friday night videos, so it wouldn't play it on Saturday night.
No, sorry. It was Friday Night Videos, but it started at 11:30, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah. It
Yes.
was late. It was really late.
Yeah. So Friday Night Videos, not on Saturday. I don't
No,
know what days of the week or which was that Saturday Night Videos? No, that was Saturday Night
no, it
Main
really
Event.
wasn't.
Okay,
No.
sorry. I'm going back to wrestling. So Friday Night Videos, which was like the sort of the first, and then we got Much Music, which was the Canadian equivalent to MTV. But I remember when Much Music came out, so I think they had everything in like 4 hour blocks, and then
Yes.
that 4 hours would play again, and then would play again for that day.
Yeah.
I watched that. I would watch the full 4 hour block.
Yeah.
And even Friday Night Videos, I taped it every week. I
Yeah.
watched all the videos. I remember the guy spinning on the pole at the beginning.
Uh-huh.
Them like tonight on Friday Night Videos, the premiere of like it's like
Yes.
level 42, and it was like
Yeah.
whatever it was. But because of videos, like my like Prince would have been on this list too, but he was a musician, and I didn't really want to put him on. But like when I saw You Got the Look, that got me into Sign of the Times, which opened up the Prince world to me, even though I did know his other songs like from
Right.
Purple Rain and all that. But that was the video that really like, okay, I got to buy this album. This is too good. And then that got me into my whole Prince phase, which has never ended. But like just the influence of videos and it got me into so many different types of music, like into hip hop, and all sorts of things. Had it not existed, I don't know if I'd be into half the music I am into. And it's
Yeah.
all because of just watching all these videos, and they were all over pop culture. Like there was like crossovers with wrestling and all sorts of things. Like it was crazy at the time. Like when it first started, like the VJs were all like celebrities, like
Yeah.
everybody, like it was insane at the time. Like it was so big. So it was
100%.
music videos for sure. One of my top influences.
Good call. Good call. I was the same. I had tapes, like VHS tapes of recorded episodes of Friday Night Videos. And then there were other videos shows in Canada, and now I can't remember off the top of my head what they were, but
Good rockin'
Rocket
tonight.
Tonight. Yes. Good Rocket Tonight. Yes. I'd record all of them. All of them. And they were
Yeah.
so, and then if you knew that there was going to be a premiere of a certain
Yeah.
band, like, oh, that you had to be ready. Like you had to, you had to have your VHS go ready, like set up and ready to go. Oh yeah. Like the Friday Night Videos. In fact, I just probably within the last 6 months, uh, look them up on YouTube. There are entire broadcasts of Friday Night Videos. Like
Oh,
the whole
really? Now I got to watch some of these now. Okay.
yeah, and I've watched them. I've like literally like put them on my TV and just watched the hour-long episode because they're just so cool. Like the videos of that era were just like so cinematic and awesome, and
Yeah.
their music was yeah, absolute good call on that one. I
And,
100%.
and the videos were like there a lot of times there are many stories in themselves, and they introduced you to these bands like you'd never seen these bands before. You're like, oh, that's what they look like, or that's
Yeah.
cool. And it's like it was just such a cool experience, and it just took over everything at that time period. It just got me into more like solidified my music tastes
Yeah.
through videos for sure.
Well, and I think it even goes beyond that. Like if you think about like Dire Straits, Money for Nothing, I think that
Mhm.
was one of the first like computer generated like animated short
Yeah.
films ever. And like nobody had ever seen anything like that before. It was so cool, and it still is. It's super crude and like dated, but it looks just awesome. And
Yeah.
so music videos advanced technology and the way we watch media. I just think, yeah, music. Good call on that one. I hadn't even thought about that one, but that's a good one. All
That's my
right.
number four.
Okay. Well, I'm going to move on to my number four, which is video rental stores.
Oh yeah.
Video
Oh man,
rental
there's so many
stores.
things I like. Oh, I should have that on my list.
I know.
Really.
I can't even tell you how many hours I
Oh
have
my
spent in
God.
my life at video rental stores. Like when they came out in the early 80s, we were at the perfect age to like just like be mesmerized by this stuff. And they came out at a time when um nobody could really afford a VHS player on their own because they were like $2,000 or whatever. So you'd
Yeah.
have to rent a VHS player from the video rental store as well. And I remember my parents like agreeing to rent one, and then they'd bring it home, and it was in the silver box. I distinctly remember like a briefcase they had to open up, and it was a silver, and that was like the greatest weekend thing ever. If my parents came home with a VHS player that they rented from the place, that meant that I got to go to the VHS movie store, the rental store, and pick out a movie or two. And then, but it was just literally you walk in and it was like the whole pop culture universe at your fingertips.
Yeah.
Like every movie you could imagine was there, and just like rows and rows. It was just like you could spend forever in there. And then, I mean, and then there was like the horror section that you didn't really like. It was kind of scary to go into originally, but then you'd totally go over there and be like, oh my God, so many like crazy horror movies I've never heard of. I've never heard of any of these movies, but I want to see them all. And then, and then there was also like the forbidden areas with the dirty movies that was usually like behind a closed in area. I never went into those that area because I was really
Well, at
young.
least you weren't caught in them.
Well, exactly. So, but the fact that that was a thing, like that was there, like people would like kids would be like, oh my gosh, like what's behind that curtain? What's over there? What are those movies? It was just there was so much of a mystique around the video rental experience. On top of it had its own like special scent because all of the video stores were like had VHS tapes.
Yeah.
So between the tape and the cardboard sleeve that the tape was in, they had a very distinctive smell. And like you just walked into the store and you're like, oh, it smells like VHS. So it was such a great experience being able to go and literally find anything that you wanted as far as entertainment goes in this one particular place. I remember distinctly one of my fondest memories of a video rental store is I think it was 1988 when they first released Star Wars on VHS, and they released it as a box set. I think it was 88 or 87, something around that time. And I remember walking with my friend to a jumbo video that wasn't very far from us, and it was a huge video store, and going at midnight because that's when this was a 24-hour jumbo video. It was open all the time. Walking over there at midnight because that's when they were going to release Star Wars, so we could finally watch Star Wars at home. And we went over there, and I bought the box set, and I remember it being like $100 or it was really expensive. And $100 in 1988 was a lot of money, but that didn't matter. I needed to have it. And then going home and then watching with my buddy the VHS tapes at our house and just being like, oh, this is the coolest experience. So just being able to go to the store and buy a movie and bring it home. So many cool things that happened at the video rental store, and it was our whole lives as youngsters. That's where we really got our love of movies, was being able to go there and touch them and look at the artwork. And that was the other thing, is all the artwork on the VHS tapes. Just so many cool aspects to your adventure at the video rental store. I love it.
It was so cool. I remember going, and so my parents were one of the ones that actually bought an original player. So it was like $1,500 or whatever it was, top loader. And so my dad bought this, and with it came 3 free rentals. And then he also could you're allowed to buy $100 membership. That didn't include
Right.
any. I think it might have included one rental or something, but it was like that's $100 membership on top of paying for the rentals.
Yes.
Like after a while, it just became free membership, and you just went
Yeah.
and did your thing. But I still have my Blockbuster card too. I still
Yep.
have the original Blockbuster card. But the yeah, it was crazy. Like, and I can remember distinctly like different video stores kind of popped up at that time. And I remember one that had like multi levels and you went up.
Yeah.
There was so many cool, like stores that I remember that maybe didn't last a long time, but I just remember them because I remember them being so cool. And like, yeah, just all the different movies I would rent. And like, it just,
Yes. And
like
and
this,
and the other thing too, and you kind of touched on this, like when you got your membership at the video rental store, you got a card, like a Blockbuster card or whatever. Those were probably our first like ID cards. Like it
yeah.
was like having a credit card. I mean, we were like, 10 to 15 years old or whatever we were, and we had like a membership card. Like we had
Yeah. It was
exclusive
wild.
rights.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had exclusive rights to rent a movie without permission from our parents because we had this card. Like that was pretty exciting. Like it was your first like grown up thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was.
Oh
It
yeah,
was such.
I remember going there and like in high school on lunches we'd go and we'd
Yeah.
write notes and I'd go over to my friend Andrews and we watch movies like all day and then but
Yes.
I'd write a sick note for myself like I wasn't there like I was just like stupid but it was so much fun over to Jumbo Video which was right near our school which was like crazy and
Perfect.
then it was awesome but yeah that's
Yeah.
a perfect like that's one thing I didn't even think of in this whole thing like it's like that might have go into my top five at some point but anyways
Yeah. It's still there, and it's we do in London where we are right now. We do have one Jumbo Video
yes.
rental store left, and I think I don't think it's the last one, but I think there are only like two or three left. But there's only one video rental store in the city, and it's exactly the same as it was back in the 80s, except now they've expanded to games and clothing and some other things, but you still go and you rent your Blu-rays from the place. It's the same experience, and I love going there. I don't go there very frequently anymore, but when I do, it's just like
It does give you a bit of that feeling, like when you go in, it's like,
yeah,
oh yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty
yeah,
cool.
it's pretty awesome.
My number three, just call in Stranger Things because it's D&D. It is like
Oh yes, of
Dungeons and
course.
Dragons. When I saw Stranger Things, I'm like, that was me. Like I was the D&D playing kid, and I loved it so much. I went through like maybe 2-3 years where I played it like all the time. Like it was just I was so enamored by that game, and it had a lot of influence on me because it was again another storytelling game like you and it's all from imagination like you like yeah there's a sort of notes to follow and places to go by the DM but it's like the DM has to kind of like lay it out even further and then as characters it's like choose your own adventure you just choose where you want to go and what you want to do and you either talk to someone or you kill them like it's like you had all these like the choice you can do whatever you can punch the guy in the face you can do like it's does tickle him doesn't matter you roll the dice whatever happened and it was so cool like it was such a great game and again like for math like, speaking of math a lot of numbers you had to figure out percentages you had to figure out like this like whether you could hit somebody and what like there's like bonuses and like it was very complicated game for a kid like really when you think about it I look back I just recently bought like the newest games like the newest books
Oh,
I don't know why maybe I'll get back into it again or something but I'm reading. I'm like, this is complicated. Like, this is not an easy game to play. There is a lot of numbers and a lot of chance in it, and it's but you create your own character, and it's so cool. And if you ever got a chance to play with a board and miniatures and everything else, and it's battles, and it's like, and you're always at the end of the game have stories to tell. Like, there's always like, oh, I remember when you busted in that door and got hit with 4 arrows or whatever it is. You never know what's going to happen in the game. Like, it gets crazy, but it was such a good team building game, and I loved it. And I can see when I watched Stranger Things why it was so popular. Like it just reminded me when I watched that show, like why I loved it so much. Like it was just so cool.
and I never got into it. In fact, when we were in college, you thought that I should be playing it. So you're like, no, we're gonna do this. We're gonna sit down, we're gonna do this. I was like, yeah, I'm 100% into it. We got as far as me rolling for a character. that's as far as I got.
That's the only bit that game. You got to have patience because the first time you
Yeah,
meet, you're pretty much just rolling characters at the time.
yeah,
Now everything's done online, but I'm talking old school D&D. And
yeah,
then you start playing. But the thing with D&D, like you could play like a 2 hour session and then leave it and then pick it up again the next time you guys get together. So
yeah,
sometimes we'd be on a campaign that would be like 7, 8 weeks long. Like it was like, or we'd play for like 2 weeks straight, or like it was crazy. Like it was
yeah.
so good and so
And
fun.
I do love that it's all imagined, like it's all in your head. Like you really have to have a great imagination and really build these worlds in your own head, which is such a
Yeah.
neat thing. It's not just hand fed to you. Like it's not, you know what I mean? You have to build it in your head, which means
Yeah.
that what you're seeing is not the same thing that the guy sitting next to you is
Yeah.
seeing. You're
No.
all creating this world the way you want it to be. I just think that's
And
awesome.
you can't control what the person beside you is going to do. It
Yeah.
was so
Yeah.
good.
Good call. Good call on that one. Yeah. I if I had thought more about your influences, I probably would have come up with that one because I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
how big a fan you are of that. All right. My number three uh is Hot Wheels.
Oh yeah, I
The,
forgot you're a big
the
Hot Wheels fan.
so when I was a kid, I could not get enough of Hot Wheels cars and Matchbox, but Hot Wheels is the standard by which all other miniature cars are judged. So I played with these things all the time. Like my parents would buy them for me, and they were super cheap. They were like $1 for a
Yeah.
really cool car, and I would set up like I had tracks and like would bring people over, my friends over, and we'd race our cars and that sort of thing. But so that on its own was super cool. But what happened with it is that it led me into like this world of loving automotive stuff. So I became a big fan of actual racing, like NASCAR racing and IndyCar racing and that sort of thing. But then it became like it turned into a pop culture passion when it came to movies. Because then I wanted to consume all the movies I could that had car races or car chases in it.
Okay, yeah.
So like Smokey and the Bandit and Gone in 60 Seconds. The Blues Brothers has one of the best car chases
Yeah.
in all of film history. The Italian Job with the
Yeah.
minis. I loved like anything that had a car chase in it or a super cool car. I was just all over that. And so that like so back in the day, Loop and I used to be members of the London Film Club. I think we started it together
Yeah, I think
back.
we did. Yeah.
And like I loved car chase movies so much that one of the picks that I chose one month was car chase movies, because I just love them so much. But it was because of Hot Wheels cars that and my obsession with playing with them all the time that led to me like watching movies about cars and all of that. And it's still the case. Like I'm still currently a member of a Facebook Hot Wheels Facebook group. I'm still interested in it.
I can imagine you are.
Yep, I still have most of my original collection. But yeah, but like that translated into my movie passions for different movies that I had. So it's interesting how one thing leads to another and leads
Yeah.
to another. So no, I'm not just like, pushing these little cars on the road. It led into, me really enjoying these movies as I grew up. So that was definitely an influence, and it still is today for me.
Yeah, and like you're saying, like I said earlier, like certain things lead into other things, and they're all connected to something later on. And I was never really into Hot Wheels. Like I, played with them a little bit when I was like child, but I just never got in. I'd never been into cars,
Yeah.
like generally. So I just never got into it. So, but it'd be like you with D&D, like it just never,
Yeah.
like I just never connected with it. So, but I knew you were into Hot Wheels. I remember that like a little bit. So I was, I maybe could have predicted it, but it's now definitely not on my list or anywhere near
No.
my list. But but yeah, no, it's just one of those things. People are into different stuff, and that's like, and it's very collectible, like big time.
Yes.
And still today, still out there, still selling them. Still, like, there's all sorts of like movie tie-ins and all sorts of stuff,
Yes.
like with just different designs, and it's pretty crazy. Like it's
It
just
is.
it's never going to go away either. It's just a very collectible thing and a very fun thing for kids. So
It is, and it's amazing being part of this Hot Wheels group. Like I don't really participate in it. I just follow the group, but these are all adult collectors of Hot Wheels cars, and they're like so obsessed, and they're talking about they just go to like the grocery store because the grocery store always has a rack of Hot Wheels cars for some
yeah,
reason still, and they're talking about finding the chase models and the special paints and stuff. Like it's such a serious. There are cons like Hot Wheels cons, like there are die-cast conventions. Like it's such a massive um, property. Like it's such
yeah.
a massive collectible experience for people, and it still is. So yeah, I had to think a lot about that one, but it definitely was
It's a good one. It's a good one.
massive influence on my life. It changed the way I did things. So yep, it made it to number three.
All right. I love a good collection of anything, really. Like
Who doesn't
I'm a
really?
big person on collecting. All right. So number two
Okay.
on this list. For me, it's comic books for number
Yep.
two. I read so many comics. I collected up until last year, like comics. And I still kind of collect, but I'm just buying the books, like the trade paperbacks,
Yeah.
as opposed to going and buying the individual issues each month. But the only reason for that is just because it gets kind of crazy if you start all the tie-ins and everything else. But I was a huge comic fan. Like I grew up and I loved like some of my fondest memories are going to the comic store every week and getting like it'd be like Wednesdays they'd come out and you know that it's like appointment tuning, right? You go
Yes.
and then all the new comics would be there and I grab my Fantastic Four, my Avengers and Moon Knight or whatever it was and I just collected them and I loved getting them each week and I still have all of the ones I used to have like as a kid. I still got them all and I've collected Avengers for years and years and years, which was funny because when they started doing the movies, it's like I know all these this is all the stuff that I collected. Like I was already an Avengers fan
Yep.
at that time, and I never was really huge into DC, but only because there was so much like it was just too
You kind of
much.
had to
Like,
you had to pick a side.
yeah, you kind of did. It was just
Yeah.
too like DC was its own universe, Marvel was its own universe, and it was like it was too hard to like kind of follow both. So I really
Yes.
stuck with the Marvel stuff. It was just
And,
crazy.
and don't forget Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck, such a huge, that was a classic.
I feel like for a lot of pop culture people like us, comics played a role.
Yeah,
Like I wasn't as big into comics when I was young, but I loved Batman. Like I love Batman, so I did have a few Batman comics and that sort of thing. And but like that's where the stories were. So if you wanted to learn about your Iron Man and all of the Hulk and whatever, that's
yeah,
where you had to go. So I feel like comic books played a huge part in making a lot of geeks who they are.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was always fascinated, just like, just you get that new issue and it's like as a kid too, like everything's because we weren't inundated at that time with everything we are now. Like we
Right.
don't have like yeah, obviously like we don't have all the phone stuff and like we're just inundated with information now. Back then you weren't, so you were hungry for a new rental. You're hungry for like a new comic book. You were hungry like, because this is all new stuff to you, all new material. So a new TV show or whatever it was. So it was awesome to get a brand new issue and you see the covers. I could still smell the comics now. I can
Yeah.
still smell what they smell like.
Yeah.
And there was so much, even the ads in them and things like that. Like for like, oh, here's the lineup for ABC's Saturday morning cartoons or whatever it
Yes.
was in there. Like it was just like the whole issue was fascinating from start to finish. So, but anyways, I love comics and I still always love comics and I will still collect comics. So
Perfect.
that was my
That's
number
awesome.
two. We are at
That's
number two.
that's a good. Okay, number two. All right.
Yeah.
So this one's not going to surprise you, but it might surprise you that it's my number two and not my number one.
Okay.
And that is Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars. Yep.
I knew somewhere that has got to be on your
Yep.
list.
100%.
That was in my top 10 for sure. And it was
Yeah.
but
Well, it's
yeah,
not my number one, but it's my number two. And really, I mean, like I don't even know how much I need to say about this. I mean,
yeah,
I was in the theater in May of 1977 when the first one came out. I did, and I actually remember that. Like I remember going with my mom into that particular theater. You had to it was a theater that was in a basement of a building, so I remember walking down the stairs and going in. It was all of that stuff. And then, and then like never having seen anything like that before, and then talking about it with your friends, and then the toys came out, and then you're
Yeah.
constantly playing with the toys and being jealous of your next door neighbor who got the Millennium Falcon that you never got. And it was just constant. And then, every 3 years in the original trilogy, we'd get a new movie. And then there was like speculation, and there was no online at that time.
No.
So it was just word of mouth. There was just, people making theories and, pretending they knew stuff about stuff. Nobody knew anything about anything. But, so we were always talking about it. And, it was such a big deal. And then even after Return of the Jedi, after the last of the original trilogy came out, people would still be collecting the toys, and we were young enough to continue collecting the toys and talking. And that's what I mentioned earlier about in 1988 going to the video store at midnight to be able to get the first VHS releases of Star Wars that I could finally watch at home, and then just watching them like crazy. Like it was just nuts. And then, 92 came around, or 90, was it 90 or 96? I guess 96 came around when they started the hype of the prequel trilogies, and then Luke forced me to buy every single action figure that that Toys R Us came out with, even if I didn't want them.
You wanted them.
Oh, I kind of did, and I still have them all in their carded, it's sealed in a box someplace. But it's just, and like it's just never been not a part of my life. Like
Yeah.
we've in fact, like 2 days before we're recording this, I texted Loop and two of our friends because the Mandalorian and Grogu movie comes out in May, and said they just released the tickets for this. Do you want to go? I need to know now because I need to get us tickets right now so we don't lose out. And that was like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we still get that excited about a franchise that's been around for, almost 50 years. I mean, we're at 49 years right now. It's been around, and we still have that same level of excitement when a new piece of it comes out. It's just like, I've got displays. Like I'm sitting here looking at my computer, and I've got three VHS boxes, not the original ones that I bought, but three of the original boxes that I have actually had professionally framed and hanging on my wall for one for each of the original trilogies. Like it's just all over my life. Like Star Wars is
Yeah.
just all over, and it will never not be. Like it will always be there. There's no end to this franchise, so I will not ever stop watching it. And I mean, they just released Maul, so now I'm watching that. Like it's just always been a part of my life, and it really has influenced my love of fantasy movies and sci-fi and all that stuff. And it's just a huge part of who I am, and it always will be. And people know me for that. Like,
Yeah. You're associated 100% with Star Wars.
yeah, it's funny. So yeah, that is a massive influence right there. 100%.
Yeah, like for me as well. Like you
Yep.
grew up, you watch the movies, and you like you bought all the action figures. I can distinctly remember going as a kid to stores and seeing these action figures and like seeing them on the walls, and it was like, and then at that time, like the sections were huge. Like I don't know if we were just small and we thought the toy sections were bigger than they were, but I'm pretty sure the toy sections were a lot bigger back then
I think
than
they
they
were.
are now.
Yes.
And so I remember seeing like massive displays for Star Wars, and you're like looking through all the figures to see which ones you have, or if there's somebody new. It's like, oh, Snagglepuss or whoever it was. Like, and it was like you're all like, you're just finding these figures like that you just never seen, and he had like the collectible Darth Vader box, right, and it opened up,
Yes.
and then it just kept going, and then for a while we thought it was kind of like you almost thought it was dead for a while because nothing came out. And then the 90s, the things, and then it kind of went stale again for a while. And then once like it got bought again and Lucasfilm got sold, like it just opened up a whole new world, and it's just bigger than ever, and it's all over everything. And we're maybe a little more critical of it than we were when we were younger, but but there's
And we're
still
not
some
buying.
brilliant stuff coming out from the Star Wars universe.
It's true, and we're not buying as much Star Wars stuff as we used to. But the things that we still have, like our original pieces, are now like nostalgic for us. Like I have my original X-wing and TIE fighter, my that I got in 1978 on
Yeah.
display in my house. Like I've purchased stands for them so that they're sitting like they're original things. I don't really play with them, but they're there and I look at them all the time.
Yeah.
So it's the nostalgia for that is like that Star Wars says, childhood to me. Like that was my childhood, and so anytime I see anything Star Wars related, it just takes me right back, and that's a big deal. Like that's a huge thing for one property to be able to influence your life like that. So
Yeah. And of course, like, opened up the world for Indiana Jones and everything else
yes.
that came after it. And I don't think any of that would have happened had Star Wars not come out and
No.
been as popular as it was. And like the toy market, like there was never, that was a phenomenon when those toys came out. So that it actually like just opened up everything from then on. Like everything had to have a toy after that, and everything
Yep.
was like connected to something. And it's all because of Star Wars to me. Like there was no other movie before that really did that the way it did. So
No.
so
Yeah.
kudos to that whole universe. And it's like I love it, man. It's like it's so good. So good.
Absolutely. Yep. 100%.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, here's a number one.
All right.
We have talked about this before,
Okay.
and I know this has influenced you as well. And I could not put this on the list
Okay.
for this. It's Fuzzy Slippers, and no,
Right.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Oh, I love the fuzzy.
No, it's Channel 43. We had a whole episode on it. I don't know what episode
Yep.
number it was, but I could not leave it off this list because it was weird. It's like having worked in TV, and you still work in TV. It's just a channel. They just play
Yeah.
shows like from the behind the scenes, like you put them on or whatever. But as a kid, and again, we didn't have the influence of internet.
No.
That channel, and probably everybody, as we talked about before, has a channel like this from their hometown, just played some newer shows, but older shows as well. So Channel 43 had everything for me. I had so many influences from it. They played Cleveland Indians games at the time,
Yes.
Cleveland Guardians. They played, so those were like on all the time. So that's how they became my favorite team
Yeah.
based on this channel. They played GI Joe like 4 o'clock every day. GI Joe. They played Voltron. They
Yeah.
played all those type of strip shows. But then they also played like the syndicated shows, but they also then played like the Munsters and like Star Trek and all these shows that I would not have ever seen had
Yeah.
this. And I think that's one of the things with kids now. And I don't want to be one of those kids today people, but they just don't. We were kind of like, because of these things, we sort of had the access to them. They can choose not to watch Munsters. Like they don't have to, they're not like forced to watch things like Godzilla, Godzilla movies. Like these all were exposed to me through Channel 43. Because and it was like the weirdest thing is it's like a one-stop shop. Like there was no station in Canada that was doing this. Like it was just it was almost like a retro but like news station because they just bought like syndicated shows and they bought like shows that had been played a million times, like Wild Wild West and like all these shows. And so many influences. Like I wouldn't have been into GI Joe because other than Channel 43. I wouldn't have been into Cleveland baseball if it wasn't for them. Like it was just like every show I watched all came from like I watched from this station. Shows from the 60s, 70s, like and obviously 80s. Like it was all there, and it was but again from behind the scenes. It's just they're just programming a station to keep it alive, basically. But it was unique. It had like Superhost. It had like things that were just unique to that station. Like because it was like a cable access station, but with a budget.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like it was because it had real shows, but then it had cable accessy type things like the new. I can't remember what that movie was called. Like they had that noon movie or whatever every day.
Yes.
The prize movie, is that what
Prize
it's called?
movie,
The prize movie.
Yep.
Like it just had some cable type elements. Even though we did talk a whole episode on it, I couldn't avoid it because it did have that much influence on me, and I watched it all the time, like all the time. I was always watching Channel 43, and like where you might have flipped off for baseball, I was watching the baseball. Like I just everything. It was everything to me, that station. Like it was everything to me. It was so cool. It was crazy. 100%. It was crazy.
100%. And I think you made a good point. So it's WUAB Lorraine Cleveland.
Yes, yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's what they call it. Is WUAB Lorraine Cleveland. That's
Yeah.
Channel 43. But you made a good point. Like we weren't forced to watch it. Like nobody's like tied us down and made us watch it. But there wasn't a lot else on. I mean, we lived at a time when there weren't a lot of TV stations, and the other TV stations weren't playing things that we were interested in at the time. So it was like the only channel that we had that was like at all interesting to kids. So we had to watch that. And
Hmm.
they I don't know if they just knew that or what it was, but yeah, they like stacked their lineup with absolutely everything that kids would love. And so we couldn't not watch it because there wasn't
Yeah.
anything else to watch, and it had everything. So I'm just gonna tag you on with this. My number one was exactly the same as yours.
Is it really?
Mine is, except I said Saturday TV. It was called Saturday TV, but I said not just the cartoons, but Superhost, Godzilla, Three Stooges, fantasy sci-fi movies. It was exactly the same thing. It was Channel 43, Lorraine Cleveland. It was
I think there was a lot of stations kind of like that. Like there were other stations that were like
yeah,
obviously all over the states that were
yes.
sort of that. I don't even know what that format would be called. Like it's like almost like a like it's just not a network channel. Like it doesn't have
No,
an it's not an
it's
ABC affiliate. It's not an
I don't
affiliate
think
channel.
so.
Like
I don't think
so,
it was. I think
no,
it
no,
was
it definitely wasn't because it was all
yeah.
it was all stuff that was syndicated, and then
Yeah,
they
it was just
played
like an
movies that
independent,
yeah, it's just
independent
like an
channel.
it's like an independent station. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But so I had the exact same thing, and it was because I thought originally I just had Saturday morning cartoons. That's what I had down there,
can
but it
I
was
just say
more
for
than
one
that.
second? My number six, which was in and out of this top five, was Saturday morning cartoons.
Right? Yeah. See,
That was my
but
that was like it was like I was either that or wrestling. It was like kind of like bouncing between the two.
yeah.
But okay,
Well,
so
and
go
that's
on.
well, that's like I originally thought it was Saturday morning cartoons, but it was more than that. It was Saturday TV. Like it was TV on Saturday because there were the cartoons. You'd wake up and you have your cereal in front of the TV and watch your cartoons. But then starting at around noon on Saturdays is when WUAB would start playing the Godzilla movies or the Three
Yeah.
Stooges. They would also like I remember watching Fantastic Voyage, the movie Fantastic. I
Yep.
think Superhost played that. Like they would like so, and that would carry you through until like 2 or 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Um, so you'd have all of those cartoons every Saturday that you'd watch, but then you had like the heavy hitters. That's where my love of Godzilla came from. I watched Godzilla movies every single weekend, every Saturday. Superhost, and then on top of it, super this we keep talking about. I mean, for those people who don't know WUAB Lorraine Cleveland, YouTube it. YouTube Superhost Channel 43, and you'll
Yeah.
see who we're talking about. I think he was actually the station manager.
I
I
think he was.
can't off the top of my head remember his name now, but I think he was the station manager. But he dressed as a really like schlubby superhero, and he had he did skits in between the shows, and they were hilarious. I mean, they were super cheesy
They
and
were dumb, but they were
like
funny. Like they're
totally
like
low budget, but for kids they were so funny. Like they were really funny. Like he did a spoof of the Bionic Man that was called like the $1.50 man or something like
no,
that.
he did the moronic woman.
Oh, the moronic woman, that's what it was.
I remember
Yes.
one sketch where he was like the moronic woman and he was going to kick or a
Yeah, a
football and
football
he
like
missed, but his leg went off. It
yes.
broke off because it was like a bionic leg and it went
Yeah,
flying through the like.
that's right. The moronic woman. I forgot about that. Yeah. So it was so like even between the shows that they were showing was Superhost who was entertaining us. So like Saturday morning cartoons and Saturday morning TV and like in general shaped everything. Like that's where we got our love of, like you said, of GI Joe, of Transformers, of Battle of the Planets,
Yeah.
and like all of the Scooby Doo and the
Super
Big
Friends. We just talked about Super
Super
Friends.
Friends.
Yeah.
That's right. All of that stuff was there. But then on top of it was the movies. Like then it went into I love the Three Stooges. I have a whole Three Stooges box set because of being introduced to them through
Yeah.
Channel 43. So yeah, Saturday morning television was phenomenal. Like it was just I don't understand why they chose to stop doing that. It made me
Yeah.
sad because then our kids grew up not knowing that experience. And
Yeah.
it really was an experience. It wasn't just a TV a channel that we watch. It was everybody. And like you said, like it was the one channel that that existed. So everybody watched it. So we could all talk about it. Like we
Yep.
could all talk about the same episodes and the same movies and all of that.
Well, with the cartoons, I'll just tag that on because it was my number 6. It was a fun time because it was like a season of shows. So they'd introduce a new season. There'd be like maybe another new Super Friends like thing, or a different Scooby Doo or Q*bert or whatever it was that happened to be popular at the time. They made it into a cartoon. But it was appointment tuning. Like you kind of looked and go, okay, I do like these 2 shows, but I'm going to watch this one instead. Or like you just knew, okay, this is on 8:30, then I watch this at 9, and then I watch this at 10. Like it was appointment tuning for kids. Like we knew when everything was on. We'd like literally figure out the schedule in the morning and like, okay, I don't really like any of these for like the 10 o'clock hour. So then I'll go do something else and I'll come back, or like it was kind of fun. Like it was like, but you knew what was coming up, and I always made sure I knew like what was happening and like what was needed to be watched and what I'll try out for the first time, and like
100%. Like I remember going through the TV guide, because that was the time when you'd get a TV guide in the newspaper every week, going through the TV guide and putting a little dot beside the shows that I wanted to watch. And you're absolutely right. I had totally forgotten about this until you just said it. But I remember like watching shows from like 8 till 9, and then there'd be nothing on for an hour. So I'd go outside and knock on my friend's door, and we'd go like play and ride bikes or whatever for an hour, but had to come back for 11 o'clock when, Godzilla started, or, I can't miss the new Scooby-Doo or whatever it was. Yeah. So you'd go out and play and then come back in to watch the whatever it was. But like you had to figure out how to coordinate your life. Like there was a lot of like important time management skills that we learned.
There was.
Yeah, you had to, if you were going out to play, you knew you only had this certain amount of time because you had to come back to watch this thing.
But I just remember watching all that stuff. Like it was just so good. And then they had
even the prize movie that you're talking about, like the movies that they would run during the prize movie again were like not movies that were geared towards kids, really. Yeah. But we watched them because they were on. And then in between, like in the commercial breaks, they would cut back to the host who would literally call somebody live at home, because you enter your name. He would call this person live at home and then ask them like trivia questions or spin this wheel and ask them. That was super exciting for us to watch too, because you could play along, and it was live and it was real. Again, if you want to look it up, the WUAB prize movie is on YouTube. You can watch clips. Cool. You can watch clips of that again.
John Lanigan, was that who?
John Lanigan, yes. John Lanigan. So
it's so funny. I can't remember half my relatives, but I can remember John Lanigan's name. Like it's so stupid. Like these are the kind of things we remember from kids because it was repetitive to us. Like we saw it every day, and it just kind of got into our heads. But
but the fact that 50 years later we still remember it, that's a pretty big deal. That's a big deal. But Channel 43 was everything. It really was. It was an important part of our lives. Like it really I know it's just TV, but it really did influence us. Like it really did make us pop culture consumers. Like we consumed all of the pop culture stuff, and the only place we could get it was on TV, because we didn't have phones, we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have anything else. All we had were these channels. So we loved our pop culture. We didn't realize it was pop culture at the time, but we loved all this stuff, and that's where we went to get it. And so it was a huge influence. Yeah, absolutely.
I love that we both had basically the same thing.
Yes. Exactly the same thing.
I knew we'd have at least one thing on our list that was like, would it be a crossover thing? And it's like, it's our number one, which is hilarious.
Exactly.
So, I'm just gonna quickly go from the first episode, 3 things that were that we're in like kind of into or love. For me, G.I. Joe, which I've mentioned, wrestling, which was on this list, and Alpha Flight, the comic book Alpha Flight, which is a Canadian super team.
Comic book. So that was on your
yeah. So they're all represented in my list. For you, was Star Wars,
right?
All things 80s, which is really like everything we talked about.
Yeah, that's true.
And then there's one you haven't mentioned this, but it probably would have been on your top 10. All things Disney was on your list.
Oh, right. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Quickly, you're like trying to like get
it. Forget that number one. I've got a different number one now.
So those were our three things. Like those were like the things that really influenced us. I can't remember how we said it, but I think it was more like three things that like define us or like that we were sort of into, or I can't remember, but it wasn't like.
But it's true. I mean, like, and it's funny because at the time when we did this 7 years ago, my son was 7 years. I mean, he was like 12, and so we spent a lot of time with Disney when he was little. He's now 22 years old and we don't anymore. So it's funny how things shift and change. So Disney's not really that big a part of my life anymore.
Yeah.
But the things that are on our list today, like our top 5, those are things that will never change.
Yeah.
Like we will never not be interested in, or not be having been influenced by like Saturday morning TV or wrestling or D&D or comic, or those are the things that actually make us who we are, and that we will never lose an affection for these things that we put on this list. So that's why I think it was so fun for us to do this today, because it's fun to think back and be nostalgic about all this stuff, but I think it's also kind of cool for people who watch us or listen to us to say, oh, okay, well that's why.
And they could probably relate to a lot of the things we were talking about as well. So it's like, I mean, obviously we had the same number one, so it was obviously a lot of the same influences. But this leads me to my next question.
Okay.
101st episode. We are moving on. It almost seems like we've like a whole piece of our lives at 100. Now it seems like a fresh new start at 101. So we'll see what happens. And again, go to our socials. You can always send us stuff if you have an idea for a show. Send it to us. We've done a couple, I think, of people that have sent us, and we're gonna keep going and see how it goes, and then we love it. So it's a lot of fun.
I guarantee you, within 2 years we'll be at 200th episode. I'd say maybe 2
years. That's like 50 episodes a year.
I feel like that's attainable.
I think we can get there. I think probably. I'm gonna predict this will be the most episodes we've done in a season. If not already, but this has been a pretty heavy like season so far, and we've still got a couple months to go. So we'll have at least, I'd say, another like 3 to 4 episodes. We'll try for 4.
Oh, okay.
That's 2 a month. I'd
say that's pretty good.
I think we can do it.
I think that's achievable.
I think we can do it. All right, thanks for joining us for our 100th episode. Woo! I'm Lou.
And I'm Larry.
And this was Guardians of Geek.
Bye-bye.
Produced by Matthew C. Loop and Lawrence Simner. A Loop and Larry production.
Bueller.
He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
Bueller.
Bad news. Fog is getting thicker.
And Leon's getting larger.
Inconceivable.
Brian's right. It's an elf.
Wax on.
Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Wax off.